What's up everyone, Lion Roar here, and we just got a brand new, long-awaited warrior clan in Bloodline Heroes of Lithas. It is the Crooked FINS clan, and I'm super excited to do a breakdown of them here today where I'm going to talk about their skills and specials, the new trait that goes with them, which one's better, the male or the female, how we can use them as far as strategy goes in teams. So let's just dive in. But first, download Bloodline Heroes of Lithas, a mobile RPG action fighting game where you can marry your champions to create new and unique hybrids. Use the link in the description to start with some free stuff, including gold and diamonds. See you hopefully soon. Alright, so first, I have to say, I really like the art on this new Crooked FINS clan, and I know that might be a controversial point because I've heard some people say they don't like it, but I think it's a cool and unique take on a new type of champion in this game. And they really do look like warriors. I mean, there's a lot of really good aesthetic to that. So let's take a look at the new trait that goes along with them, and do take note that this is an epic champion that I'm looking at. So of course, if the rarity is higher, the numbers are going to be higher. But the trait is called Combat Fatigue, and it says when taking damage, reduces the attacker's attack speed by 11% for 4 seconds. Of course, that percent will be higher the higher the rarity. Also, this cannot be stacked. That's a good clan trait. Is it worth chasing the companion just for the clan trait so you can pop it on every champion? Probably not. We're at a point in this game where there's a lot of really great S tier types of traits that you do want to do that with. This is probably not quite there, but it is very good. Anytime you can be faster than your opponent, and especially slow them down if they've got all the attack speed increases and things like that, just ways to gain energy. This is always going to be good. So I think it's going to be good on this clan. There might be outside cases where you want to put it on another champion, but I don't think that's absolutely necessary here. But let's go take a look at the skills and specials of these particular champs, and do also note that these are warriors, which we don't have a lot of good ones. So on the one hand, you probably want to go after a hero like this if it's good, which we're going to talk about now, just because it stacks up really well against the other warriors in this game, and fills a part of the game that is kind of lacking right now, if they're good, of course. However, an argument against that is that if you already have your Guardian Stone loaded up with the points for all the other types of champs in this game, then, well, getting this one means that it's going to be lacking in stats compared to your other champions. So you'd have to redo the Guardian Stone. It's not a big deal. But another argument for going after a champion like this regardless, is that they're probably going to want to go with better warriors overall. So this could potentially be, if it's a good clan, the first in a line of several good warriors. So changing the Guardian Stone around would also mean potentially an investment in the future. So without further ado, let's take a look at the passive. I'm going to go with the passive first, then the active special, and then the ultimate, just because that's how they tend to impact the board. And I like to do it that way. These are also maxed out stats in the renowned champions. The passive is called Wicked Wave Lineage. Increases the caster's max constitution by 100% when the battle starts. That sounds freaking amazing. So yes, let's put energetic on this one. Constitution will incrementally fall off in the next 20 seconds, but will not drop below 30% of its max. Each normal attack consumes 15% of the caster's current constitution and deals an additional true damage equal to 50% of the consumed constitution. For every 5% max constitution lost during the battle, the caster's attack speed boosts by 2%. That's good. The lifesteal rate by 3.5%. Once constitution is below 50%, the caster becomes immune to control effects. And that, of course, is really good too. So this is a really interesting passive. We don't usually see passives this complex. And basically what's happening here, the big effect is that you're going to start off with a ton of constitution. And really, honestly, that's what I think of when I think of warriors a lot like tanks. Although I think of tanks as being immovable objects, while I think of warriors as dealing a lot of damage in addition to being tough like a tank. So they should have a lot of constitution like this. And interestingly, to go along with the flavor of being a warrior, it loses constitution fast too. Is that going to be a detriment to it? I mean, my first initial thought is it might be. And so I do worry about that, but we haven't seen anything else like this before. So it could potentially be that if he deals a ton of hard to deal with damage, it might not matter that he's losing constitution along the way. But let's look at the active and ultimate to see just how much damage he's going to be dealing. So Tyrannical Smack consumes 20% of the caster's current constitution, dealing true damage to the target equal to 60% of consumed constitution. Again, yes, energetic, please. Let's put energetic on here and give him as much constitution as we possibly can, because that's a lot of damage. 60% of consumed constitution, that's going to be huge. The caster also gains a shield that can block damage equal to 15% of their max constitution. The shield lasts for 6 seconds. We haven't even gotten to the ultimate yet, and this is just screaming put as much HP on it as we possibly can. Brutal Tear. Attacks current target multiple times, dealing total damage equal to 750% of the caster's strength. That's a high number. We also want to put brutal on this. Also inflicts trauma, increasing the target's damage taken by 25% and preventing them from being healed by their allies for 8 seconds. During this period, if the target loses 20% of their max constitution, trauma will be converted into permanent fatal wound effect, which increases the target's damage taken by 30% and prevents them from recovering constitution. Fatal wound can't be removed. I think that has the potential to be a really, really good effect there. And now we're starting to see the champions in this game who are anti-healing to combat Male Water and Sun. And I'll tell you what, Male Water and Sun is so powerful, it's going to take a lot to counteract him. But this is a start. However, I think it's only a start. I think he has the potential to be a glass cannon. He's probably the most fun of the two, quite honestly. Because I just want to see him in action. I want to see him come out with all that huge constitution, just dealing a ton of damage and creating trauma and fatal wound and, just really tearing through an opposing team. However, he doesn't affect the whole board in a way that like Male Water and Sun would. He's really only going to go like one by one. But I think this has the potential to be our best warrior so far. And I know that's not saying a lot, but like I think he's the best one so far. That's just my opinion. But let's take a look at the female. Maybe she's better than him. Maybe she's the best one so far. Her passive says Brutal Bloodline, Bloodthirsty. The caster's strength resistance, and attack speed increases when an enemy's constitution is lower than 90%. The lower their constitution, the more these stats are increased, up to a max of 30%, 25%, and 30% respectively. Bloodthirsty effects triggered by different enemies are stackable. I mean, anytime you increase strength that much, that's going to be really good. Strength resistance. It's also a net effect of like not taking as much damage too. And then attack speed. Yeah. So anytime we can be faster than the opponent. This is a much simpler passive than what's on the male, but it's extremely powerful. All right, the active skill is Dreaded Strike. Swings weapon to attack nearby enemies, dealing damage equal to 500% of the caster's strength. So we definitely want to put Brutal on her. Also inflicts silence to the targets and reduces their damage dealt by 30% for 3 seconds. And the cooldown's 8 seconds. Each of the caster's normal attacks reduces the cooldown by 10%. So that's a pretty simple one here. I don't think that there's anything unbelievably amazing about this one, but you got control effects, you've got damage, and you're also preventing them from dealing damage. I think what is really special about the female, though, is the ultimate, Merciless Devouring. Quickly moves to the farthest enemy's back, so like an assassin, but she's a warrior, swallowing them for 5 seconds, during which the enemy cannot recover constitution and energy, takes damage equal to 160% of the caster's strength every second, and loses 300 energy in total. That's an amazing control effect. And if she's going up against a Male Water and Sun who's sitting in the back, she's going to swallow him up. Now, if he goes off before she gets the silence, it might not do much. So do take note of that. You're probably also going to want to put something like ambitious on her as far as traits go, just to make sure she's going off as soon as possible to get back there. If that's your goal, to try and stop a male water and sun in the back, then you definitely want her going off fast. I mean, I was going to save talking about the traits for a little bit, but this one just kind of builds itself. As far as like, yeah, you want brutal, you want something like focused, you want something like ambitious, and then perhaps one of the like increased speed traits, whether it's the stone thrower one or agile or whatever. Okay. We haven't even read the second part of this. Meanwhile, this enemy will bear 35% of the caster's taken damage. So basically it's funneling the damage through the Crooked Fins female into whoever she's got in her mouth, basically. If they still survive, the caster will spit them out, and of course they keep going again. Now, here's the danger in this. While a great counteraction to male water and sun in the back, if teams have male water and sun in spot number 2, or maybe even up front where a lot are moving them these days, well, then she's not really going after them. She's going after whoever they put in the back. I don't always do this. It really just depends on what kind of meta I'm in. But I'm famous for doing stuff like putting a female Galabar in the back, or like a female Lionstone or something like that. That's really tough to kill. So it doesn't quite matter as much if she's racing to get them. So, I mean, there is that to consider. It also depends on how fast she's going to go off and that kind of thing. Placement is really important with her. I think we're going to have to really build her, test her. I don't think there's ever going to be... If anyone ever tells you what position to put her in, I don't think that there's a right answer to that. It's really going to depend on who else you have on your team. So, of course, there's going to be better opinions than others when you ask, but I don't think there's just an obvious place to put her on a team. So who do I think is better, him or her? Obviously, I talked the male up quite a bit. And I said that he was the best warrior up to this point, but then we looked at the female, and she also looks like the best warrior up to this point. So I think they're close. How would I make a decision about this? I think the male is more fun. I think he has the potential to do more damage, but I think the female is more useful. She's got more utility in a number of different situations in which you probably want to have her, and she can deal with some very difficult champions on the opposite side of the board. I mean, at some point, does it really matter who's in the back? Whoever she's eating and swallowing, right? You're basically taking your opponent and putting them down a man or woman. So that it's basically 5-on-4. And whenever you do that, you have the advantage. There's such good champs in this day and age that even if it's not male water and sun that she grabs, she's probably grabbing some important piece to the opponent's strategy. And you can let your 5 champions then take over. Is she worthy of being your main comp on your top team? I don't know. I think that one's going to take some testing, which make sure you're subscribed, because I do plan on summoning for this clan and testing them out and seeing how they are. And I'm probably going to go for the female because of the utility that I talked about. I think that there's an outside chance she could be on my main comp. But I think it's more likely she's going to be very good on a 2 or a 3, where you really need to get creative to kind of counteract the metas that you find in Valley of Conquerors and Sails and Sabers and Guild Conquest and such. So that's just my opinion. I did talk a bit about traits there. The ones that I had mentioned, I think they are different for each one, but you can do some mixture of any of those. Obviously, energetic's way more important for the male. I like focused on him. I don't necessarily think he needs ambitious like the female, so you can go with one of the speed traits. Honorable might be okay on him for survivability, but I don't think it does as much with him and how he's just losing constitution based on his skills. And then I mentioned all the ones that I think are good on her too. So yeah, again, just my opinion. This is all just speculation right now because I haven't even summoned for them yet. I do plan on doing that. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, and I will catch you in the next one.